being that we are now officially renegades, we check out more REN. This one's called Eden, and I believe it just dropped. I've never heard it, nor have I heard of it. So if it's not new, something off of Sick Boy, then just let us know in the comments. Let's check out REN, be it new or old, and we just don't notice things. Let's do this.
Let me tell you a story as old as time, the story of Adam and Eve. It starts with a God who wanted more. God had just created the heavens and the earth. He had the angels by his side, but they had no will of their own, and so the autonomy to love or reject him was never theirs. All but for one, the once called bringer of light, Lucifer, morning star. Lucifer was the fairest and most intelligent of all the angels. He was the closest thing to God's image, and in his likeliness, Lucifer felt restless. He began to question and doubt God. He doubted the hierarchy opposed upon him. He felt God was arrogant. In his frustration, Lucifer built a throne that stood even above God's and declared mutiny. A war ensued. God, being all-powerful, came out the victor and banished Lucifer from the heavens and exiled him to earth. Once again, God was alone with his power. Perhaps from loneliness, perhaps from curiosity, perhaps from a desire to share love, God began to work on his greatest project yet, a being that would mirror himself, the human, two humans specifically, Adam and Eve. They were placed inside a paradise built for them on earth, the Garden of Eden.
Cool, they
In
make
the
it look
garden,
like a
God
video
placed
game.
a tree that bared
Like an
fruit
old
that would
vintage
grant
video
anyone
game.
who ate it powers bestowed only to a God, to tell good from evil, left from right, to live righteously or to sin. He named this the Tree of Knowledge. God told Adam and Eve they could eat whatever they wanted in the garden, but never the fruit from the Tree of Knowledge. And if they disobeyed him, it would be punishable by death. The basic way the story of Eden is told is that Eve was tempted by Lucifer in the form of a serpent to eat a fruit from the Tree of Knowledge. Convinced, she bit the fruit, she passed it to Adam, and he did the same. Suddenly, ultimate knowledge filled their minds, and they realized they were naked and felt shame. God discovered this betrayal and felt anger. He exiled Adam and Eve and cursed them with the life of a mortal. They would work, they would bear children, and they would die. The fate of a human. Now look deeper.
In the story, the serpent tempted me by telling me I would gain ultimate knowledge and that God would spare me.
Both were true.
This wasn't some great deception, meaning that Satan, in the likeliness of God, perhaps understood his intentions. In fact,
The only lie uttered in the
Garden of Eden was
by God, who did not end up
condemning
Adam and Eve to death.
death.
This could be seen as an act of
Mercy, but the sheer fact that the tree existed and that humans
were initially cut off from this knowledge.
may imply some part of God was afraid that if humans were granted the gift of perception, they, like Lucifer, would have the power to reject him too. The fact that there stood a beautiful tree that could
grant this knowledge in the first place
implies that a small part of
God, supposedly all-knowing,
perhaps wanted and intended
the humans to bite too.
In the Bible, Satan was an exiled angel of free will. Humans are exiled
descendants of Adam and Eve.
also with free will. Not only have we shared a similar fate to the devil, we were also both constructed
We
in the
were
image of
also
our
both
Creator,
constructed in the image of our Creator.
meaning our behaviors, in some shape or form, imperfectly echo his.
We could assume that this kind of
God has his doubts,
But
but as the most
powerful
being in the universe,
he has no one above him
to turn to with questions, and no one to
doubt but himself, an incredibly lonely and isolating existence.
We must only assume that the common thread between God, Lucifer, and us is the desire for more, an eternal curiosity, a desire perhaps birthed from a seed of loneliness. If not, why would we exist in the first place? The constantly looping, bittersweet irony is whether gifted by some omnipotent God or simply a byproduct of billions of years of evolution, here we stand, in 2023, as creatures with free will, the only creatures that understand and define good from bad, creatures with the potential of a God. And what do we do with that free will, my friends? We willingly walk to the edge of a cliff. In the name of progress, we jump off the precipice. The empires we build ravage the earth. The natural order of things are necessary to survive. Any systems which do not honor homeostasis eventually perish. Our free will overrides our own biological instinct. We can take more than we eat. We can kill more than we need. We can willingly create weapons with the potential to burn everything we've built to the ground. We willingly decide to bow at the altar of greed, the most insidious and destructive of all sins. We put our faith in corporations who pose as rulers. We willingly allow ourselves to be led by outdated power systems ran by corrupted politicians
and bloated dictators who claim domain and dominion over an open and free land.
We willingly elect the corrupted when the decision was always ours to build something better. We willingly create and impose separation because of beliefs that we are force-fed through our phones and television sets. We always had the will to reject these things, but we adhere to them as though they were the laws of physics. War, famine, pestilence, greed, these aren't things imposed upon us by an all-powerful God or by his demonic adversary. They are here because of us. Not because of free will, but because of our inability to use it. We must be motivated to be better, not out of fear of punishment of an eternal damnation, but because the choice exists, because we love ourselves, because we have the power to absolve ourselves of so much unnecessary suffering. Take a second to be in this very moment. In this moment, how much suffering is happening all over the planet right now? How many people are dying of illnesses that could have easily been cured, but aren't because of the selfishness and greediness of humanity?
Amen.
How many people break their backs and reject their own passions to simply afford bills and food? How many of us crave distraction from existence? How many of us numb that pain in whatever way necessary? How many children are being abused? How many people sleep cold and hungry on the streets? How many of us become cogs inside a machine that is destroying itself? How many soldiers have been forced to fight in meaningless wars? How many humans have killed for ideals they don't believe in or understand? How many people have died for the greed of another man? And how much of this was avoidable? As written in the Bible, Satan was not condemned to hell. Satan was condemned to earth. He lives there amongst other creatures with free will, who always had the choice and still chose their own undoing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our self-made hell. The bittersweet irony is this is a creation of our own design. I'll leave you with this. Consider what you have done here today. You have worked together as individuals collaborating to form a giant neural network, a hive mind capable of achieving incredible things. We have lent on each other's strengths to solve puzzles and decipher riddles, and we've done so to win money. Imagine applying that same spirit and determination to creating the closest thing we have to paradise here on earth. By using the power of collaboration, we can work together to even the playing field for everybody. Our dystopias can become utopias. Our Jahannams can become Jannah. Our hells can become heaven, right here on earth. And this sentiment applies to atheists, agnostics, and believers alike. Myself, I'm an agnostic who believes. I believe in us. We must do better because we can choose to. We must be better simply because the option exists. Thank you.
I believe it's safe to say that was not at all what I expected. But very profound.
I don't want to say what I think. I do, but I don't, because it's not a full thought yet.
That's the fun with REN.
I agree and I don't agree. And I guess it's because I am a Christian, and just the way that he put the story and the way that it seemed like he just overthought it. You know, like I got the second part of it. The second part of it, I understood with the corruption and we have our own free will and we objectively choose the wrong way to go anyways because it's safer, or we feel like it's better for us when really it's just killing us. But like, I don't think that first part was even remotely right. Like that just
The story of Adam and Eve.
like the way he put it, it seemed like it was too overthought.
Was he wrong
Yes.
on which part?
Hold on, let me get my thought right.
See, I'm the agnostic.
Yes and no. Yes to the Adam and Eve biting the fruit and falling into, I guess, a corruption from Lucifer and whatever, and then being punished by God for disobeying. But I don't believe that God was lonely, or I don't believe that God looked at this and said, well, you know, I don't know if this will happen, but we're going to keep this here anyways. He already knew what was going to happen. He knows what's going to happen before it happens, but there's a plan to everything that he does. There's a bigger picture to everything.
If you were capable, because of your omnipotence, to create a civilization and watch it grow, already knowing exactly what's going to happen, it's like watching the same movie that you've seen a million times. I mean, it just, to me, why he would actually intervene in our lives is the part that I've always been somewhat skeptical on. Miracles, things of that nature.
But it's not intervention.
It's something.
Because it's already part of the plan.
Right,
everything that we do, yes, it is our decision in whichever path we take for whatever situation that we're in. But he already knows what's going to happen. He already knows how our mind works, what we're thinking, how we go about things. So it's not an intervention at that point.
No, my point being, if he created the heavens and the earth,
Mm-hmm.
that means he had to have created the entire solar system,
Mm-hmm.
which is vast.
Okay.
There's a lot.
He's bigger than that.
Right. So why would he honestly care that much about our planet when there are multiple planets that he's just observing? If it were me, this is what I would do anyway. Create life on planets. Let them do what they're going to do to entertain myself, to keep myself from being bored, as Ren put it. I would be watching other planets and saying, okay, how is this one doing? How is this one doing? Just the fact that he knows everything's going to happen before it happens anyway, it just seems maddening.
Okay, but here's the thing.
But we can't comprehend his thoughts because we certainly can't comprehend our entire brain. We're trying to comprehend an omnipotent
being.
It's impossible to understand for our primitive brains. So I don't know, but with my primitive brain, that would be maddening to know everything that's going to happen before it happens, no matter what I create, no matter what I build, what I put together.
But isn't that what's so great about it? Because we can never do anything like that. And it's an awesome wonder, you know, like how could anybody create so much and manage so much and have these tiers of angels that help answer prayers and do what we're supposed to do? And it's like, wow, there's so much more to it than what he was talking about in the video. I don't see how he sees it that way. But that's just me, because I am a believer. I was raised a Christian, and like that's just, I can't see it that way.
I was raised a Southern Baptist Christian.
So I was too, yeah.
And after years of really soul searching and asking questions, it made me to where I'm not a non-believer. There's a possibility. I mean, you can't rule out really anything.
I mean, you can't look outside your window and say, nothing created this. There's no way to rationalize that.
Well, no, I believe there's a superior being. That I believe. Do I believe it's Jesus, Muhammad? I mean, you name the millions of religions that are out there as to who's right, that's the hard part to get your head around. Because to me, a superior being, if you worship a superior being, there's one. And everybody calls that one something different. And they all have stories that may or may not be true. You don't know. You weren't there. You've read the books. You've read the word of all these different, the REN, the Bible. Everybody's got their version of how events went down.
But there's proof to the Bible being real.
But I mean, there's proof to the others as well. But there's a lot of coincidence in some of this stuff too. So I don't know.
But how is any of this coincidence? They found Noah's Ark on the top of the same mountain that he landed on in the Bible. They found all the Dead Sea Scrolls. They found a Moses tablet. They found all this different stuff. There's nothing that disproves the Bible.
Well, there could have been a flood. I mean, I'm not ruling that
wipes out the entire planet?
Yeah, see, I don't know about the whole planet thing. That's a lot of repopulating to do. There's a lot of Adam and Eve and a bunch of animals having to get it on. I mean, it
wasn't Adam and Eve, it was Moses.
It was written by men. And let's be honest.
What, do you think that God could write stuff? He had to have scribes.
Well, as to the validity of the scribes.
And the majority of, especially the New Testament, was written by the prophets who followed Jesus.
So was Joel Osteen a prophet?
No.
Then why is he so popular in our time
because
for the same reasons? We could have a debate over religion all night long. I found too many flaws in it for me to completely believe, but I'm not ruling it out. I just don't know. And I think REN was just somewhat summarizing his same views of we can do better, and greed is
I agree with that. I agree with that premise. I can accept that.
No, he's right though. That's not even a premise. That's correct. All these wars, everything.
Yeah, it's destroying us, but we're choosing it. That's
man
the point
has
of free
done
will.
to itself, and that's just reality. I mean, until you can take down the hierarchies to the point where the people become part, not just the ones that feed their machine, because that's literally all we are. If you're not in government, which I heard in the United States, I believe Matt Walsh said there was 3.5 million government employees, and that's only citizens. That does not include military and ranks. So there's probably a good at least 5 or 6 million people that work for the government out of 330 million. And that's just part of the machine that we have to feed. And I think that's what REN is saying is, why are we breaking our back to be taxed 30% of your check and then taxed on the things you purchase and taxed on everything you can possibly imagine? If it's out there, it can be taxed.
And it's because we chose that.
Because we allow that.
That's what I'm saying. We in all honesty, we look at these two options and it's like, yeah, I don't like that, but I get something out of that, like immediately.
I've learned over many years now, no matter who you vote in, all they do is talk.
There's always an agenda.
And when they take office, whatever it is they really want to do, they're going to do. It doesn't matter what they told you to do. They've got something in mind from the moment they take office, because their party is what controls the presidency. Biden is the biggest example in our history. The man is going through dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah, hardcore.
There's no way he could keep up with that schedule with dementia. The fact that they still trot him out there is sad to me. I mean, I watched both of my parents die from Alzheimer's. I know what I'm talking about in this aspect. I have watched it for years with my mother. My dad lasted about 2 with it. She went about 5. So I can tell you sincerely, the fact that they trot him out there is just kind of disgusting to me. Yeah. That man does not know what's going on, and they just have writers and media to just cover for all the ridiculousness. And all of these things that are going on with the votes and what he's signing and all of that has nothing to do with him.
He's just a puppet.
He is just there. And that's what REN was saying about our system.
Yeah.
And many of us have been saying that for many years, that there's no way one man can control all of this. It's just not possible. Europe has countries the size of our states, but they're individual countries, and they're all part of a province, you could say. The United States could easily do that. They could become individual countries, but it'll never happen because the ones in charge want more territory. It's all about power, and the more land you control, the more power you wield. Why Russia and Ukraine are having their issues, that's absolutely why the Middle East is in the friction it is, especially with Israel. It's all about land. That land is power. There are people in the Middle East right now worth billions. They're worth what Elon Musk is worth. It ain't about money for these people. There's a point where there's only so much left. You want that territory. And so the war for territory continues.
Yeah, but it's one of those, if anyone was to start some sort of uprising, it'd be REN, just because of how, like you said earlier, how profound and how honest he is. And he just points out the facts. And like we said in many of other videos that we've made, he could be pouring water and we'll just be, what's going to happen next? You know?
Yeah, but he's not known enough. He's not, I mean,
no, but if anybody could have a speaker for them to do anything like that, it'd be REN.
It would take something that really pushed everyone over the edge. And my fear is going to be the next election. Because nobody's going to concede that.
No, on either side either.
Right. If the Republicans win, the Democrats are going to burn down cities, and it's just going to get way out of hand. And if the Democrats win, the Republicans are going to whine and bitch, and we're going to have to watch the country get even poorer.
I don't know.
I think the people are going to.
Yeah.
I think this will be one of the straws that breaks the camel's back. If there's something fishy about the next one, and there's no telling what we'll see there. So either way, it's lose-lose. The next election is not going to be pretty. People like REN and others, if they could get to the people enough to explain this to them to where they'll actually get out of their little echo chamber and listen long enough to see where all of this is headed.
I honestly think he could do it, of all people, because it would spark conversation like every other thing that he does.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no conversation that the Republicans are going to accept from the Democrats and vice versa.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying from the people's perspective.
Well, I think
like this.
I think not just this country, but many places, westernized places are going through the same things right now. It's like there was a weird plan somewhere that somebody, not saying who, not creating conspiracy, not pointing in any specific directions, but it seems pretty well planned that all of these other countries are being invaded on their borders and their immigration, just like we are. Not to the extent. America is hemorrhaging more than anyone.
Yeah.
But you can see what happened with the UK.
Yeah, have you seen London?
Yeah.
Come on.
Ever since this Israel-Palestine war broke out, you're starting to see some of the immigration that has hit these countries, because people assumed here that everyone coming across the border was Mexican. They were from Mexico. They were citizens of Mexico coming across the border, when that is only about 30% of what's coming across our border.
And you know something else? How many kids and women are you seeing crossing the border here?
When there's been 8 million in the last 3 years, it doesn't even matter at this point. The one thing they've learned about the government currently, our administration, is that they're the good guys. And that's why they are bringing them in to vote for them, because they're bringing them in under the understanding that, hey, we're the good guys.
Yeah.
You can go out in public and protest and stand thousands deep protesting Israel, and we're not going to do anything. We're going to let you block roads. But it is what it is. And that's one of the things REN's pointing out. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was amazing. Views on God, everybody's going to have a different view on that. REN's not going to have the same view as everyone. It wasn't exactly my view as well. It doesn't matter. The point came across. We have the ability to change all this, but we're too busy fighting for someone to try to take more territory, and we can wave our flag and say, good job.
No. You done got me talking politics. I didn't want to.
We got Alaska and Hawaii. Like, share,
subscribe,
do the thing.
Do the thing.
And until next time, guys, as always, Come at me, bro.